Today, we're going to look at editing for conciseness. Instructors put word or page count restrictions on assignments. This compels students to write clearly and concisely. However, this can be tricky when discussing the nuances of complex topics. To help you address this, we're going to go over a variety of strategies that can help you reduce word count. This video is going to focus on word form specifically and the ways in which modifying or changing your word form can help you reduce word count. We'll first examine how you can pluralize words to reduce word count. We're going to look at verbifying words, which is a colloquial way of saying turning something into a verb. We can likewise nounify certain words, turn them into concrete nouns to make them more concise, and we can adjectivate words or turn them into adjectives, which of course is not an actual word. We just kind of throw some of these out there to give you an idea of the process we're talking about. First, we're going to look at singular versus plural. People often use singular nouns when discussing hypothetical scenarios. However, plural examples typically require fewer words. For example, we might write, if a criminal gets in my way, I will take him or her out. Now, in this context, we have the singular a criminal. We need the indefinite article a because we're not specifying which criminal we're talking about. That's two words. And then we have him or her. We haven't specified gender, so this person is placing it in a strict binary. That's 5 words of that sentence's total word count. Now, some of you might simply say, hey, we can use the more inclusive them. So we keep a criminal, but we use the singular inclusive them when the gender is not specified. And this would reduce word count. We only have 3 words now. If you use plural, you reduce more words. So if criminals get in my way, I will take them out. We have criminals and them. That's only 2 words in this case. So whether you're using the more antiquated him versus her or the more inclusive them, if you're using singular context, you're still going to be using more words. Pluralizing words will allow you to reduce word count without changing meaning. Now, let's take a look at nounifying words, turning words into nouns and how that can reduce word count. Nouns are often modified through restrictive elements. Though this can establish details, it also increases word count. These elements, though, can oftentimes be reframed as nouns. Here we have an example. I get hired to track down people who commit crimes. Here we have who commit crimes. This is the restrictive element. It's not just any people, but specifically people who commit crimes. This requires 10 words to express your idea. However, if we nounify that element and instead say, I get hired to track down criminals, now we've expressed the same sentiment with 7 words. Initially, we have people broadly speaking, and we need that restrictive element who commit crimes. But if we specify and turn that element into criminals, we eliminate the need for that prepositional element. We nounify it and make the sentence more concise while expressing the same information. In academic contexts, you might write something like, the students who participated in the study saw increased engagement. We have a restrictive element, who participated in the study, restricting the students who we're talking to. But to express the idea in this manner, we need 10 words. If we simply say the participants saw increased engagement and turn that restrictive element into a simple noun, now we're able to express that same idea, the participants who would have already been established as being students, and we express it in half the words, only 5 words in this context. Now, let's talk about how we can verbify words. The object of a sentence is often framed as an action in noun form. However, these nouns are often still linked to the subject with a verb. To avoid this redundancy, the object can be reframed oftentimes as a verb. For example, we might write the criminals were in pursuit of the heiress. And in this context, we have the verb were linking the criminals to the pursuit that they were in, right? And framing them in that context. This shows that the criminals were in pursuit of, there's a link between these two. And oftentimes, framing actions in noun form can be advantageous because it makes your ideas concrete. However, this sentence is 8 words. So in instances where you need to reduce your word count, you need to reconsider the advantages of this approach. We could alternately write the criminals pursued the heiress. We still have the simple past, we still have the pursuit, but we've eliminated the were and turned pursuit into its verb form, verbifying it and requiring only 5 words, reducing the word count by 3. In academic contexts, I often see students write Patel et al. 2024 conducted a study on the relationship between vaping and perceived coolness. So we see this phrasing conducted a study. Now, the word study is a noun form of the verb to study. So instead of using 15 words to express this idea, we could reduce it. If it's reframed as Patel et al. Studied the relationship between vaping and perceived coolness, now we have that studied is the active verb. We've turned that noun into a verb and thereby reduced the word count to 12. The barriers experienced by refugees are parallel to the barriers experienced by undocumented workers. Here we have are and parallel, a noun form of a verb to parallel, right? Again, in this context, we have 14 words to express this idea, but we can make it shorter. If we instead write the barriers experienced by refugees parallel the barriers experienced by undocumented workers, we turn that noun into a verb, and now we only have 12 words, thereby reducing our word count again without having to sacrifice any of the substance of what we're saying. All the information is still there. Now, on to adjectivating words. Nouns are often linked with other nouns by a preposition. In these instances, one of the nouns can often be reframed as an adjective. Example, Hercule Poirot is considering a number of suspects for the murder on the train. In this case here, we have number of, and the total word count here is 14. But let's see if we can adjectivate this word and make the sentence shorter. If we change number of to numerous, now Hercule Poirot is considering numerous suspects for the murder on the train. We're down with the word numerous to 13 words, thereby reducing the word count. In academic context, you might say something like Joe et al. 2025 examined a variety of factors. This here, variety of, is a noun linked to another noun with a preposition, 9 words in total. If we turn a variety of into various, we have Joe et al. Examined various factors. We shortened the sentence up with the word various. Now it's only 7 words. And again, we have not sacrificed any substance or content or any information. All the ideas we're expressing are still present. So let's do a brief summary of what we've covered. Plural form. Consider using plural examples and hypotheticals instead of singular examples. This can oftentimes reduce the need for an indefinite article and sometimes reduce the number of prepositions. Verbifying words. If a subject or noun is being linked to an action placed in noun form, consider removing the modal verb that links them, like is, am, are, and turning that action into a verb instead of a noun. We can also look at nounifying words, especially restrictive elements. The students who participated in the study, turn that restrictive element who participated into a noun, participants. People who commit crimes, instead of who commit crimes, criminals, right? And finally, we want to look at the ways in which we can adjectivate words, right? So if we have a prepositional element, A student of the university, we can say a university student. Turn that noun in the prepositional element into an adjective beforehand. These are strategies that you can use with respect to word form to ensure that you can express your ideas in a more concise way. If you have any questions, leave them below. We'll answer them as soon as we can. And if you want some more tips on how to reduce word count, check out our other videos on word count. We'll outline a number of strategies you can use to that end. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.